Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say might hurt your feelings, but it might also save your life. If you're waiting for someone to rescue you, to motivate you, to believe in you, to pull you out of the mess you're in, I have bad news. No one is coming. There is no cavalry. There is no miracle. There is no perfect moment. And the longer you wait, the weaker you become. The world does not reward potential. The world rewards action. Right now, as you sit there hoping things will magically improve, someone else is working, building, sacrificing, and taking the life you keep dreaming about. This is not motivation. This is reality. You were lied to. You were told that someone would notice your struggle, that if you were patient, life would be fair, that if you were good enough, success would knock on your door. That's nonsense. Life doesn't care about your intentions, your excuses, or your feelings. Life respects strength, discipline, and relentless execution. Weak people wait to be saved. Strong people save themselves. And here's the brutal truth. Every day you delay taking control, you are choosing to stay weak. Every excuse you repeat is a decision to remain small. Look around. The people winning are not smarter than you. They are not luckier than you. They are not special. They simply understood something you're still avoiding. No one is coming. So they stop complaining. They stop blaming their parents, their past, their country, their circumstances. They took full responsibility, and responsibility is power. The moment you say, "This is my fault and I will fix it," your life changes. Victims look for saviors. Leaders become their own. You don't need more motivation. You need standards. You don't need another inspirational video. You need discipline when you don't feel like it. Because let me tell you something, motivation is a liar. It shows up when life is easy and disappears when it gets hard. Discipline stays. Discipline works when you're tired, when you're bored, when you're scared. And if you don't build discipline, life will discipline you in far more painful ways. Poverty, regret, humiliation. Those are the prices paid by people who waited for help instead of becoming dangerous. Ask yourself this: if no one ever helped you, would you still succeed? If the answer is no, you are not ready, because the real world does not clap for effort. It crushes weakness. Every single man must face this moment, the moment he realizes that his life is his responsibility, not his friends, not society's, his. And once you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop begging. You stop explaining. You stop hoping. You start moving. Saving yourself means waking up earlier while others sleep. It means working when it's uncomfortable. It means saying no to pleasure today so you can have freedom tomorrow. It means building your body, sharpening your mind, controlling your emotions, and mastering your time. It means becoming someone who does not need luck because you create outcomes. This path is lonely. Most people won't understand you. Some will mock you. Let them. Average people hate discipline because it exposes their laziness. And don't misunderstand me. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being strong. Because once you save yourself, you can help others. But a drowning man cannot rescue anyone. Fix yourself first. Become solid. Become reliable. Become respected. The world doesn't listen to words. It listens to results. When you walk into a room as a man who saved himself, people feel it. You don't have to announce it. Your presence speaks. Every man reaches a moment in life where he believes waiting will somehow improve his situation, where time feels like an ally instead of what it really is. A silent executioner waiting feels safe. It feels harmless. It gives the illusion of intelligence, as if delaying action means you are being careful, strategic, or patient. But the truth is far more brutal. While you wait, life keeps moving. Opportunities don't pause. Competition doesn't slow down. The world does not respect hesitation, and it never has. Waiting is not neutral. It is a decision. And most men don't realize that by doing nothing, they are actively choosing to fall behind. Here's the uncomfortable reality that almost no one wants to admit: time does not reward good intentions. You can plan forever, analyze every angle, and convince yourself that you're not ready yet. But readiness is not something that arrives with time. It is built through action. Every extra day you spend waiting for confidence, clarity, or motivation is a day someone else spends building skill, strength, and momentum. And momentum is everything. Once you fall behind, catching up becomes exponentially harder. Not because you lack ability, but because you lacked urgency when it mattered most. Waiting slowly drains something inside you. At first, it's subtle. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, next month. Then tomorrow turns into a habit, and habits form identities. Before you know it, you're no longer a man who is waiting. You are a man who waits. That identity is lethal. It kills ambition quietly, without noise or drama. There's no single moment where everything collapses. Instead, life passes by while you stand still, watching others live the version of life you once imagined for yourself. The most dangerous part about waiting is that it feels justified. Fear disguises itself as logic. Comfort disguises itself as wisdom. You convince yourself that conditions aren't right, that circumstances are unfair, that you need one more sign before you move. But ask yourself this: when have conditions ever been perfect? When has life ever opened the door and said, now is the ideal time? It doesn't. It never will. The men who win are not the ones who had perfect timing. They are the ones who moved while others hesitated. Every second you delay compounds against you. Skills that could have been learned remain undeveloped. Discipline that could have been built stays weak. Confidence that only comes from action never arrives. And the cost of waiting is not just lost opportunity, it's regret. Regret is heavier than failure. Failure teaches. Regret haunts. You can recover from mistakes, but you will spend years trying to forgive yourself for never trying at all. Look closely at the people you admire. None of them waited until they felt ready. They acted while uncertain. They moved while afraid. They made decisions without guarantees. And that's the difference. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. Waiting is fear's favorite weapon. It keeps you passive, distracted, and comfortably stuck while time does the damage for it. You need to hear clearly: if you are waiting, you are already losing. Life does not punish you later for hesitation. It punishes you immediately, just quietly. While you delay, someone else takes your place. While you hesitate, the door closes. While you overthink, the opportunity disappears. And it doesn't come back with an apology. The moment you understand this, something shifts. You stop asking for perfect conditions and start creating movement. You stop waiting for confidence and start earning it. You realize that action, even imperfect action, is always superior to intelligent inaction. Progress belongs to the man who moves first, not the one who waits longest. If this message feels uncomfortable, that's a good sign. Comfort never changed anyone. Discomfort is the signal that truth has landed. Waiting is a slow, silent death, but action, even when messy and uncertain, is life. Most people spend their entire lives searching for power in the wrong places. They look for it in motivation, in validation, in support from others, or in excuses that make them feel less guilty about where they are. But real power has only one source, and it's a source most people are terrified to touch: responsibility. Responsibility is uncomfortable because it removes every place to hide. The moment you take full ownership of your life, you can no longer blame your parents, your past, your enemies, your economy, or your luck. And that's exactly why responsibility is so rare and so powerful. Most people don't want to hear. The second you accept that everything in your life is your fault, you gain the ability to change everything in your life. Weak men reject this idea because it feels unfair. Strong men embrace it because it gives them control. Blame feels good in the short term. It protects your ego. It makes you feel like a victim of circumstances. But blame is a prison. Responsibility is freedom. When you blame the world, you give the world power over you. When you take responsibility, you take that power back. Think about it honestly. As long as you believe your situation is caused by something outside of you, you are stuck waiting for that external thing to change. And we already know no one is coming. But the moment you say, "This is my responsibility," something shifts internally. You stop asking who failed you and start asking what you can do next. That mindset alone separates leaders from followers, winners from spectators. Responsibility forces action. Excuses create stagnation. There is a reason most people avoid responsibility. Responsibility demands discipline. It demands consistency. It demands that you look in the mirror without lying to yourself. And that is painful. It's much easier to complain than to correct. It's easier to explain why something didn't work than to do the work required to make it work. But easy paths never lead to powerful lives. Power is built by men who choose the harder truth over the comfortable lie. That cuts deep. Victims wait for fairness. Leaders create outcomes. Life is not fair, and it never will be. The faster you accept that, the faster you grow. Responsibility doesn't mean everything that happened to you was your fault. It means everything that happens next is your responsibility. That distinction matters. You may not control what happened, but you control how you respond. And response is where power lies. When you take responsibility, your language changes. You stop saying, "I can't," and start saying, "I will figure it out." You stop saying, "They didn't give me a chance," and start saying, "I'll create my own opportunity." You stop saying "one day" and start saying "now." This shift is not motivational. It's structural. It rewires how you operate in the world. You become proactive instead of reactive. And proactive men dominate reactive environments. Responsibility also builds respect, both internal and external. Internally, because you trust yourself, you know that no matter what happens, you won't collapse into excuses. Externally, because people sense it. People can feel when a man owns his decisions. He doesn't over-explain. He doesn't beg for sympathy. He handles problems. That energy is rare, and the world responds to it. Most importantly, responsibility eliminates fear of failure. When you own your life, failure becomes feedback, not a verdict. You don't crumble because your identity isn't tied to perfection, it's tied to progress. You fail, you adjust, you move again. That's power. Not confidence without results, but competence built through repetition and accountability. If you're waiting to feel powerful before you take responsibility, you have it backwards. Responsibility comes first, power follows, and once you understand this, you stop looking for someone to save you because you realize you've been holding the key the entire time. Most people build their lives on motivation, and that's exactly why most people fail. Motivation feels powerful in the moment. It gives you a rush, a surge of confidence, a temporary belief that this time will be different. But motivation is emotional, and emotions are unstable. They rise and fall based on sleep, mood, weather, praise, rejection, and comfort. If your progress depends on how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent. That's the trap. Discipline, on the other hand, does not care how you feel. Discipline operates regardless of emotion, and that is why it wins every single time. Most people don't want to accept if you need motivation to act, you are already weak. Strong men move without needing to feel inspired. They act because it is required, not because it feels good. Motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Discipline says, this gets done today. One builds excuses, the other builds results, and results are the only language the world respects. Motivation shows up when life is easy, when the music is loud, when the video is playing, when everything feels possible. But the moment resistance appears, fatigue, boredom, fear, discomfort, motivation disappears. That's when most people quit. Discipline shows up exactly at that moment. Discipline is trained in silence, in repetition, in doing the same hard thing again and again when no one is watching and no one is clapping. That is why discipline creates men who are unstoppable while motivation creates men who are enthusiastic but unreliable. Think about it carefully. Every meaningful achievement in your life will require you to act on days you don't want to. There will be mornings where your body is tired, your mind is heavy, and your confidence is low. Motivation will tell you to rest, to delay, to start tomorrow. Discipline will tell you to move anyway. And every time you obey discipline instead of emotion, you strengthen something inside you. You build self-trust. You prove to yourself that your word matters. That internal respect becomes unshakable confidence, not the fake kind built on hype, but the real kind built on evidence. Motivation makes promises, discipline keeps them. Anyone can feel motivated after watching a speech. Very few can follow through when the excitement fades. Discipline doesn't need excitement. It thrives on structure, routine, and standards. When discipline is in place, action becomes automatic. You don't negotiate with yourself. You don't argue internally. You execute. That efficiency compounds over time and separates the elite from the average. Discipline also protects you from your worst enemy, your own mind. Your mind will lie to you when things get hard. It will exaggerate pain, minimize rewards, and convince you that quitting is logical. Discipline overrides that noise. It creates rules that remove decision-making from moments of weakness. You train at this time. You work at this hour. You finish what you start. No debate. That clarity removes mental chaos and replaces it with forward motion. People often say discipline is restrictive, but that's ignorance. Discipline is freedom. The disciplined man is free from regret, free from chaos, free from the emotional roller coaster that controls undisciplined lives. While others feel stuck and confused, the disciplined man moves with direction. While others wait to feel ready, he is already ahead. And over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. If you want a life that looks different, your behavior must be different. Motivation will never sustain that difference. Discipline will. Discipline turns ordinary days into extraordinary outcomes. It transforms effort into identity. And once discipline becomes who you are, not something you try to do, success stops being a matter of chance and starts becoming inevitable. Comfort is one of the most dangerous addictions a man can have, precisely because it doesn't look like one. It feels harmless. It feels earned. It feels like safety. But comfort is not neutral. It is corrosive. It slowly eats away at urgency, discipline, and hunger until a man forgets what it even feels like to push himself. The scariest part is that comfort doesn't attack you violently. It lulls you into sleep while your potential suffocates quietly. By the time you realize what it has taken from you, years are gone. That cuts through the illusion. The moment you get too comfortable, you start losing without realizing it. Comfort convinces you that you deserve rest before results, pleasure before progress, and ease before effort. It tells you tomorrow will be easier, that there's no rush, that you have time. That voice is lying. Life does not reward comfort. It rewards pressure, resistance, and consistent strain. Every strong body, sharp mind, and powerful life is built under discomfort. Look at what comfort actually produces. It creates men who wake up late, move slowly, and avoid anything that challenges their identity. It creates emotional weakness because discomfort is the training ground for emotional control. If you never push yourself physically, mentally, or financially, even small problems feel overwhelming. That's why comfortable lives are often filled with anxiety and dissatisfaction. Comfort removes your tolerance for difficulty, and life is nothing but difficulty. Growth lives where comfort dies. That is not a metaphor, it is a law. Muscles only grow when they are stressed. Skills only develop when they are challenged. Confidence only forms when you do things that scare you. Comfort keeps you in familiar territory where nothing is demanded of you. Discomfort forces adaptation. And adaptation is how evolution happens, both biologically and mentally. Men who avoid discomfort remain the same forever. Men who seek it evolve. You need to hear clearly, if your life feels easy, you are not building anything meaningful. Easy days stack into weak years. Hard days stack into powerful lives. Every time you choose comfort over effort, you reinforce a version of yourself that avoids pressure. Every time you choose discomfort, you reinforce a version of yourself that can handle more. That identity compounds faster than talent ever will. Comfort also kills urgency, and urgency is the fuel of progress. When life is too comfortable, there is no reason to move fast, no reason to sacrifice, no reason to sharpen yourself. You drift, and drifting is just decay in slow motion. Men don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they get comfortable too early and stop demanding more from themselves. Discomfort creates clarity. When things are hard, you focus. When pressure is high, distractions lose their appeal. Comfort, on the other hand, invites distraction. Endless scrolling, meaningless entertainment, empty conversations, these thrive in comfortable lives. Discomfort forces priorities. It strips life down to what matters. That is why discipline-driven men often live simpler lives. Their focus is too valuable to waste. If this feels aggressive, it's because comfort has trained you to resist truth. Comfort wants to protect itself. It whispers that you're doing fine, that there's no need to push, that ambition is optional. But every man who achieved something significant had to reject comfort repeatedly. They chose early mornings over sleep, effort over ease, and long-term respect over short-term pleasure. The men who win are not the ones who avoid suffering. They are the ones who choose controlled suffering now so they don't suffer uncontrolled consequences later. Comfort today demands payment tomorrow with interest. Discomfort today pays dividends for life. Most men spend their lives hoping someone stronger will arrive and pull them out of the chaos they created or tolerated. They wait for guidance, support, opportunity, or a breakthrough moment that magically changes everything. That mindset alone guarantees weakness. Here's the hook that needs to hit hard if you need to be rescued. You are not prepared to win. The world does not reward dependency. It respects self-reliance. The man who needs saving will always be at the mercy of someone else's decisions, timing, and approval. Becoming the man who needs no rescue means eliminating the habit of looking outward for solutions. It means accepting that help may come later, but it cannot be the foundation of your strength. Strong men are not built by constant support. They are built by pressure, isolation, and responsibility. When no one is coming, you either collapse or you adapt. And adaptation is where power is born. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid if everything were taken from you tomorrow. Money, status, support, comfort. Would you still be dangerous? Or would you panic? That answer tells you exactly how strong you really are. The man who needs no rescue is not fearless, he is prepared. He has built his body to endure stress, his mind to stay clear under pressure, and his skills to produce value regardless of circumstances. He doesn't rely on motivation or sympathy. He relies on capability. This kind of man does not wait for permission. He doesn't need reassurance. He doesn't ask the world to be fair. He understands that fairness is irrelevant. Outcomes matter. He trains himself to solve problems instead of complaining about them. When something goes wrong, his first instinct is not panic or blame, but adjustment. That mindset alone separates leaders from followers. That exposes weakness instantly. The more excuses a man has, the more rescue he needs. Excuses are signals of dependency. They reveal a man who expects external conditions to change before he does. The self-reliant man removes excuses by building competence. He studies when others distract themselves. He trains when others rest. He sharpens his skills while others debate their feelings. Over time, that discipline turns into confidence that doesn't shake under pressure. Becoming self-rescuing also means mastering emotional control. Emotional men need saving because emotions cloud judgment. When stress hits, they react instead of respond. The man who needs no rescue has trained himself to stay calm when things go wrong. He doesn't make decisions in anger, fear, or desperation. He understands that emotional discipline is a form of strength. Panic is weakness. Clarity is power. If chaos breaks you, you were never solid to begin with. The goal is not a life without problems. The goal is to become the kind of man problems respect. Problems should slow you down, not stop you. Pressure should sharpen you, not shatter you. That level of stability only comes from preparation and repetition, not from positive thinking. Self-reliant men also build leverage. They don't just work hard, they build skills that make them useful, valuable, and difficult to replace. They understand that dependence on one source, one job, one person, one opportunity is vulnerability. So they expand their capabilities. They make themselves adaptable. When doors close, they don't beg, they build new doors. The world treats men differently when it senses they don't need saving. There is a quiet respect that follows them. Not because they are loud or arrogant, but because they are solid. They don't over-explain. They don't chase validation. Their presence communicates stability, and stability is rare. If this idea feels heavy, that's because responsibility is heavy. But it's also empowering. When you stop expecting rescue, you stop feeling helpless. You stop waiting. You start preparing. And preparation turns ordinary men into forces that don't need permission to move forward. Most people are obsessed with identity, but they chase it in the weakest way possible. They want to feel confident before they act. They want to believe they are strong before they do hard things. That mindset is backwards, and it's why so many men stay stuck in the same place for years. Identity is not something you discover by thinking. It is something you forge through action. You are not who you say you are. You are who you repeatedly prove yourself to be. And proof only comes from doing. That dismantles illusions instantly. Your habits are your real identity, not your intentions, not your dreams, not the version of yourself you talk about when you're feeling inspired. What you do daily, especially when no one is watching, is who you actually are. Every action is a vote. Every disciplined choice is a vote for strength. Every excuse is a vote for weakness. Over time, the votes stack and an identity becomes unavoidable. Men fail because they wait for identity to magically appear. They say, once I feel confident, I'll act, or once I become disciplined, I'll work harder. That day never comes. Confidence is not the cause of action. It is the result of action. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is a behavior repeated until it becomes automatic. Action comes first. Identity follows. Always. You need to absorb fully. You cannot think your way into a new life, but you can act your way into one. Action bypasses fear, doubt, and overthinking. The mind argues. Action decides. When you act, even imperfectly, you create evidence. Evidence silences self-doubt faster than any speech ever could. One completed task does more for your confidence than 100 motivational thoughts. Every time you do the hard thing you didn't want to do, something internal shifts. You don't feel it immediately, but it accumulates. You start trusting yourself. You start believing your own word. And self-trust is the foundation of real confidence. Men with no self-trust constantly seek reassurance. Men with strong self-trust don't need external validation. They've already proven themselves through action. Action also creates momentum, and momentum reshapes identity at a dangerous speed. One disciplined day becomes two. Two becomes a week becomes a standard. Soon, not acting feels uncomfortable. That's when you know identity has changed. You no longer force discipline. Discipline feels natural. The man you used to be wouldn't recognize the man you're becoming, not because of motivation, but because of consistency that exposes fantasy thinking. If your actions don't change, your life won't either. Wishing harder won't help. Visualizing longer won't help. Talking about plans won't help. Only execution changes outcomes. The world does not respond to potential. It responds to behavior, and behavior, repeated long enough, becomes reputation, both internally and externally. Action strips away self-deception. You can lie to yourself in your head, but action tells the truth. If you say you want success but never work, action exposes the lie. If you say you want strength but avoid discomfort, action reveals reality. This is uncomfortable, which is why most people avoid action. But that discomfort is exactly what builds integrity. You become aligned with yourself. What you say and what you do start matching. That alignment is power. There is also freedom in this truth. You don't have to wait to become someone special. You don't need permission, resources, or perfect conditions. You only need to act differently today than you did yesterday. One decision, one controlled choice, one hard action. Identity doesn't change in dramatic moments. It changes in boring, repetitive ones. If you want to know who you'll be in a year, look at what you're doing today. The future version of you is being constructed right now, action by action. And whether that version is strong or weak has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with what you choose to do when it's inconvenient. So here's your final warning and your final opportunity. Stop waiting. Stop scrolling. Stop hoping someone will come and change your life. They won't. This is on you. Your future is watching what you do next. You can close this and go back to comfort, or you can decide right now that you will become the man who didn't need saving. Because at the end of the day, the harshest truth is also the most freeing one. No one is coming, and that means everything is in your hands.